The pressure intensified, so much so that it was nearly suffocating. My heart grew heavy. The dragon maiden stood motionless, unfazed. She should have thrown you away when she gave birth to you. Growing up, you haven't even learned basic manners, and now you dare speak to me like this? Is this how a junior treats an elder? Is this the respect I'm owed? If not for your father's sake, I would have ended you today. The voice seethed, cold and full of disdain. The fury in my chest boiled over. The dragon maiden fixed her gaze on the room. I'll say it one more time. Return the... Smack! An invisible slap came flying, aiming squarely at her face. The dragon maiden swiftly raised her hand, dispelling the force with a clear slap of her own. How dare you resist? Are you a thankless wretch? Was your father's care for you meant to raise someone to defy their elders? Outrageous! All these years, how have you even survived? Do you speak to your father like this too? Uncivilized brat! The person's anger reached its peak, his voice cold. Since you have no grasp of proper etiquette, I will teach you thoroughly today. You want that item back? Kneel and beg for it. The dragon maiden's eyes began to turn icy. If not for the fact that the person inside was a friend of her father's, she would have stormed in to teach him a lesson long ago. My blood boiled at hearing this exchange. Borrowing an item and refusing to return it, then asking the dragon maiden to kneel? Utter shamelessness. Noticing that she was raising her hand, ready to barge in by force, I promptly held her back. Let me handle this. She froze briefly, a complicated look flashing in her eyes. He bullied me just now. I was momentarily stunned but nodded and asked, Are you certain you won't return the item? The person inside sneered. And who are you to speak to me? His tone was dripping with disdain, carrying an air of superiority that was sickening. Suppressing my anger, I replied calmly, The dragon maiden mentioned two matters earlier, you only heard one. Are you not interested in the other? Receiving no response, I continued, The second matter pertains to your protective formation. There's a flaw in its setup. Want me to help you fix it? The dragon maiden added softly, The second matter I was going to bring up is about the shadow. Before she could finish her sentence, I glanced at her, and she immediately stopped talking. I had observed that formation from above earlier. Its design was crude, clearly self-taught. The fact that he was studying formations meant he was interested in them, just as the dragon maiden was drawn to calligraphy and paintings. I had some understanding of formations, having briefly studied the top 10 grand arrays. He was an amateur enthusiast with a passion for it, which made this his weak spot. My setup is flawed? What makes you think you're qualified to criticize it? The man inside, obviously irate, was provoked. This formation must have been his pride and joy, and he wouldn't tolerate it being disparaged. A proper formation is based on the 5 elements and guided by the directions of the 8 trigrams. You don't even understand the fundamentals of the 5 elements, let alone the application of the trigrams. This isn't a proper formation, I replied steadily. Nonsense. His aura erupted in fury. I proceeded calmly, formations require flexibility. For instance, in the southeast corner, you can add a water element array flag to enhance its water properties, boosting both offense and defense. The west side is incomplete because the flag placement is incorrect. Move it 3 steps south from Qian's position. Don't believe me? Try adjusting it with your techniques right now. These principles came from the top 10 grand arrays. The dragon maiden looked at me dumbfounded, while the formation enthusiast inside scoffed stubbornly. Do you really think I'll believe you? Why not experiment? Improving your technique requires practice, I replied flatly. Humph. Silence followed from inside. I knew, given his genuine interest in formations, he would surely test it out. Within a minute, I could sense the formation's strength increasing noticeably. A voice of pleasant surprise emerged. Huh? So the formation can be adjusted this way? It was clear he had seen the truth. Even the dragon maiden was momentarily stunned. This young friend of mine certainly has a profound knowledge of formations. Come in, I have more formation-related questions I'd like to consult you on. The sound of the door creaking open echoed as it slowly swung wide. Let's go inside first, I said to the dragon maiden. Her gaze flickered with emotion. So what's your plan for getting him to return the item? You'll see soon enough, I replied. Okay. When he bullied you earlier, I told you I'd help you settle the score, I added. Her lips curled slightly in expectation. We stepped inside with ease. I scanned the room, feeling speechless. Though the house was styled with an ancient flair, it clashed awkwardly. It was a mix of traditional architecture with a modern vibe. The layout didn't adhere to the equilibrium of the 5 elements at all. It was a complete mishmash. Let me know if another section needs processing or adaptation. No wonder his knowledge of formations is so poor, he doesn't even understand the basics of the 5 elements. The Yangtze River Dragon Maiden and I stepped into the spacious living room, where a gaunt middle-aged man was staring directly at me. He wore a thin goatee, his cheeks were hollow, and his sharp, shifty eyes gave an impression of cunning. His face lacked much flesh, giving him a sinister and sly look, the perfect image of a scoundrel. I really wanted to walk up and slap him across the face. This was exactly the kind of person who'd borrow things and conveniently forget to return them. But how did he not notice the black aura that just escaped earlier? It seems that aura isn't just strange, it's downright peculiar. He didn't even glance at the Dragon Maiden standing beside me. Instead, he smiled slyly and asked, "So, young friend, which school taught you formation techniques?" "I taught myself," I replied. "Self-taught?" A glimmer of envy crossed his face, though he quickly masked it. "How'd you do that? Care to teach me? I've been really into formations recently." "You flatter me, senior. I wouldn't dare to teach you, it's more of a mutual exchange," I said coolly. "Alright, then share some of your insights. I'm all ears." His crafty face lit up with an eager expression. "But before that, I ought to remind you, senior, you've been borrowing items from the Dragon Maiden a bit too freely, haven't you?" "About that," I began. "We're here to discuss formations, not irrelevant side issues. Get to the point." "I'm listening." He cut me off hurriedly, clearly intending to leech formation knowledge from me without returning what he owed. I chuckled internally and glanced around the room. "Alright, how about I show you through practical application? Sound good? Practical application? How?" he asked, intrigued. "Simple. You touched on the 2 spots I mentioned earlier, right?" "Yes, I did. Do you want to make your formation more stable?" "Of course," he answered enthusiastically. "Alright then, prepare another set of formation tools. I'll set up the formation while you observe and learn," I said. "Since you're unfamiliar with my house, how about you just tell me what to do, and I'll handle it myself. Practical work is key after all." A flash of wariness appeared in his eyes. Cunning old fox. I kept my expression neutral. "Fine, you set it up yourself. Follow my instructions to reinforce the formation, learn by doing. Deal." He quickly pulled out over a dozen multicolored formation flags. As he looked at me with anticipation, I walked to a specific spot and motioned for the Dragon Maiden to follow. I pointed to a location based on the knowledge of the 10 absolute formations and instructed, from the entrance, take 39 steps to the tree over there. Plant a fire element formation flag beneath it. Without hesitation, he took 39 steps and planted the flag in the ground. The flag immediately emitted a fiery red glow, its aura permeating the surrounding formation. The formation quivered intensely, becoming significantly more stable and fortified. Uncle Huang's face lit up with excitement, the change in his expression unmistakable. "This is the fire position. It governs the hardness of the formation. With the enhancement of a fire element flag, it's as though the formation is being tempered by flames. Its structural integrity will naturally improve," I explained. He suddenly understood, visibly thrilled. It was as if he was witnessing the rebirth of a formation he once prided himself on. His guard had dropped noticeably, and he eagerly asked, "What's next?" "Next, take 88 steps and plant another fire flag in this direction," I instructed. He promptly complied. He was utterly engrossed in formations, it bordered on obsession. The Dragon Maiden whispered quietly to me, "Dragon 18, are you really planning to help him strengthen his formation? Someone like him will turn on you as soon as he learns it." I whispered back, "Turn on me? Let's see what he does when his own formation traps him." Her eyes lit up. "You're planning to trick him into setting a trap for himself?" "Sure," I hushed her with a small grin. The formation I was having him construct was one of the 10 absolute formations, the 5 elements fiery formation. Not only was it exceptionally robust, but it would also attack anyone inside it, both defensive and offensive in one. Huang had never seen this kind of formation, so there was absolutely no way for him to see through it. To him, it just seemed like his formation was growing stronger. Even though he wouldn't let me set it up with my own hands, his personal involvement was more than sufficient. The formation began to emit a red hue, visibly solidifying further. It was leagues stronger than the one he initially set up. Huang was over the moon, his suspicion fully erased. But then, a glint of satisfaction and cold calculation appeared in his eyes. He was clearly planning to betray me. "Young friend, what else can I adjust?" Huang asked eagerly. "This should be sufficient now," I replied casually. "Sufficient? But it could still be better, right? My formations have to be top-notch. Tell me." He pressed, clearly hungry for more. "Fine," I said with feigned reluctance. Head to the east and the south and walk 180 steps in each direction. Place 2 more fire element flags at the endpoints. He did as I instructed. The moment the flags were in place, the formation became tangible, its strength visibly surging. I was quietly impressed. This formation really was remarkable. Adding just a few flags had elevated it to a whole new level. Truly astounding. What next? Can we refine it even further? Huang was brimming with excitement. Let me test your understanding first. We just added 4 fire element flags. What are we still missing? I asked. He frowned, deep in thought. After several moments of struggling and growing visibly frustrated, he gave up. I have no idea. You might as well tell me. If you're not interested in figuring it out yourself anymore, I could just give you the answer. No, hang on. Let me think some more. He scratched his head in frustration but ultimately threw in the towel again. Alright, you tell me. The rooftop still needs a water element flag. I pointed to the top of his house. The rooftop? Huang asked, puzzled. Yes, the formation needs a central node. Your roof is the formation's core, and it requires a critical flag to bring everything together, I explained. He was briefly stunned but quickly understood, clapping his thigh in realization. Ah, how could I forget that? Without hesitation, he flew up to the rooftop and planted a blue water element flag. The entire formation buzzed with a deep resonance as it transformed into an impenetrable fortress. The 5 elements fiery formation was complete. My eyes flashed. Huang was practically trembling with excitement. I've never seen a formation like this. It's incredible. Even if I were to try to break it myself, it would take me 3 whole days and nights. 3 days and nights? What a joke. He floated back to the ground. Formations are all about filling in their gaps. You'd better remember that. I remarked. Huang's lips curled into a cold smirk. You're absolutely right. Turns out, my past failures came from not understanding this principle. Would you like another demonstration to drive the lesson home? I asked, gazing at him. No need. I've already mastered your little technique. You're quite the eyesore, you know? Imagine, someone as green as you waltzing into my home. Huang sneered sinisterly as he stepped closer. And, what about the things you borrowed from the Dragon Maiden? I asked instinctively. Ha ha ha, you fool. You shared some formation pointers with me, and you think I'd repay that by returning what I borrowed? Don't be ridiculous. His laugh grew colder. And why should I let you leave alive? What if you came back to use a formation against me? I don't like loose ends. Congratulations, you're about to die. What? I pretended to be horrified. Huang lunged at me with lightning speed, his intent to kill unambiguous. But I just smiled faintly, standing completely still. Suddenly, as he closed in, an invisible wall materialized in front of him, stopping him in his tracks. It was a transparent wall of array formation. Uncle Huang was startled. This is my array? How did this happen? Did you secretly tamper with it? Impossible. You never let me go near your array. Unless. A flash of shock and anger appeared in his narrow triangular eyes. That's right, you scoundrel. You were acting all obedient just now. I sneered. This time, you're going to come clean, return what you owe the Dragon Maiden, and kneel down to knock 3 loud kowtows to her. The Yangtze River Dragon Maiden's eyes sparkled. Uncle Huang smirked mockingly. I didn't expect a useless wretch like you to pull off tricks. But this array was set up with my own hands. Even if you tampered with it, do you really think it can trap me? Don't forget, I'm the master of this array. I'm the only one who can control it. He laughed smugly, and with a flash, appeared on the rooftop, reaching to pull up the array flags. But unexpectedly, the array flags vanished bizarrely. Uncle Huang froze, and the array suddenly shook wildly. A fiery ball of flame hurtled toward him. His face turned pale as he raised a hand to block the fireball. The disappearance of the flags meant the array was no longer under his control. His expression became more furious, like a child whose toys had been snatched away. The array began to constrict, trapping him firmly. The unrelenting power of the array, indomitable and crushing, left him both astonished and enraged. Ha! Why isn't your array listening to you? It's turning against its master and trapping you? What's going on? I teased with feigned curiosity. He glared at me. What have you done to my array? You're the master. How would I know? I spread my hands innocently. Explain, he roared in a mix of fury and panic. Oh, you want to know? Fine, this array is called the 5 Elements Fiery Array. I shrugged nonchalantly. No such array exists. Stop lying. Uncle Huang snapped back, glaring ferociously. This is one of the 10 supreme arrays passed down by Zhang Banian. I squinted at him for emphasis. What? Zhang Baiyan's supreme array? Uncle Huang gasped, and for the first time, a flicker of fear glimmered in his triangular eyes, like someone who'd been scarred by one of Zhang Baiyan's formations before. It seemed that Uncle Huang had definitely been trapped by one of Zhang Baiyan's arrays in the past, or else he wouldn't have lost his composure like this. Seeing that fear in him, I took the opportunity to provoke him further. So, have you decided yet? Are you going to return what you owe and apologize while kneeling, or are you planning to stubbornly hold out? Uncle Huang sneered coldly, humph. This array wasn't set up by Zhang Baiyan himself. I refuse to believe it's that powerful. Give me 3 days and nights at most to break it. Then all of you will die. I grinned and countered, oh? Go ahead, try breaking the array. I'll be watching. As soon as I finished speaking, the array blazed with red light, and several giant fireballs, as large as water tanks, hurtled toward Uncle Huang. His face darkened as he continuously struck at the fireballs, scattering them with remarkable strength. But the fire from the 5 elements fiery array was ceaseless. Unless the external 5 elements were disrupted, the fireballs would never stop forming. Uncle Huang was assaulted once again, his face growing gloomier. After dispersing the fireballs, he conjured a section of black beast bone and hurled it fiercely at the array. With a thunderous boom, the array quaked, wild winds howled, and a house was razed to the ground, but the array itself remained unscathed. I let out a sigh of relief. This array was as impressive as its reputation, a true masterpiece of Zhang Baiyan. Even the dragon maiden of the Yangtze River looked amazed. Uncle Huang was incredulous. This wasn't set up by Zhang Baiyan himself. So how can it still be so strong? I don't believe it. I can't fail. Furious, he launched another ferocious attack, unleashing a series of tremendous explosions. The Yangtze River dragon maiden turned to me and asked, so you took one look at this 5 elements fiery array and could just set it up? I nodded, maybe because I naturally had a knack for this sort of thing. Uncle Huang's assault grew fiercer, but the array remained intact, making his anger boil over. Watching him rage and thrash was oddly satisfying. I thought to myself, this guy doesn't have much patience left. I'm going to teach him a proper lesson today. Half an hour later, Uncle Huang's energy had plummeted. The structures within the array had been reduced to splinters and debris, the ground was riddled with craters and sprinkled with soil, like a battlefield after relentless bombardment. He glared at me with venomous hatred, while I, completely unbothered, said flatly, your performance so far has been utterly useless, but I will admit it's been quite the spectacle. Please, continue. Uncle Huang's gaze grew frostier. Don't get cocky. Once I'm free, I'll tear you apart. He groaned furiously, resuming his assault, the chaos and destruction only escalating. I shrugged, watching calmly. Let's see how long you can keep this up. As his complexion continued to worsen, the Yangtze River dragon maiden chuckled softly. I glanced at her and asked, feeling better now? Much better. It's not over yet. Once his energy stabilizes, I'm going to analyze his facial features further. I'm certain he's not carrying what he borrowed from you, it's probably hidden somewhere in his house. Agreed. The dragon maiden's eyes glimmered. Then, with anticipation, she asked, if we track down the item, what are you planning to do about him? Whether he returns the item willingly or we retrieve it ourselves. I squinted at Uncle Huang, who was still thrashing inside the array. Earlier, he tried to kill me to cover his tracks. That means he deserves the same in return. Fair is fair, don't you think? The dragon maiden nodded decisively. I've been wanting to finish him off for a long time. I smirked inwardly. A man like Uncle Huang couldn't be allowed to live, sparing him would only invite more disaster. Another hour passed, and Uncle Huang eventually gave in and halted his attacks. Drenched in sweat, gasping for breath, and visibly drained of his energy, he was forced to rest. I felt a sense of victory, his exhaustion gave us a clear upper hand. As he rested, he stared me down with smoldering hatred. While his energy was diminished, I began analyzing his facial features. Within minutes, I determined, his belongings are hidden in his secret chamber. Let's go retrieve them ourselves. The dragon maiden agreed. When Uncle Huang saw us heading toward his house, he bellowed, what are you doing? Step into that house, and I swear you'll die the most gruesome death. Your souls will scatter into oblivion. He roared in fury. I ignored him completely and entered the house, scanning the surroundings. My gaze fell on an ornate vase. I tested turning it. With a loud click, the wall cracked open, revealing a narrow hidden passage leading to a sealed, pitch-dark chamber. Clearly, this was where he frequently retreated, well hidden and ideal for stashing important items. You wait here, I'll go inside to investigate, the dragon maiden volunteered. I shook my head. We should go in together. Uncle Huang's cultivation was too high, and I hadn't yet fully analyzed his face. Taking precautions was essential. She didn't argue. Together, we stepped into the secret chamber. The dragon maiden snapped her fingers, conjuring a small flame at the tip to illuminate the chamber. It was spacious and square. Except for a wall lined with cabinets, the room was empty. The walls bore uneven marks from years of training, some fresh, some faded. We made our way to the cabinets, which were cluttered with bottles, jars, and dusty boxes. The dragon maiden sifted through them until her eyes lit up. She pulled out a single talisman. The talisman glowed faintly with golden light, inscribed with cryptic runes that emitted an aura of power. However, its energy seemed worn, as if it had been used many times. Only 2 charges remained. This is section 26, 50 seconds. I have processed the content according to your instructions while preserving the original structure, paragraph breaks, and overall layout. Below is the result. I asked, what is this? A concealment charm. It can hide your aura, the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden said coldly. But he's used it too many times, it's almost depleted. My heart stirred, this was a weapon for ambushes. No wonder Uncle Huang wouldn't hand it over. Now I felt more confident about dealing with that immortal trying to chop off my head. The Dragon Maiden handed me the charm. Take it. It should still work twice. Clones can't sense it. As long as you don't get too close, the chances of being discovered are low. I accepted the charm gratefully. Thank you. Don't thank me, she said curtly. All right, I said, resigned. We should hurry up and take down that old man. Just as I was about to step out, I started intensifying the power of the formation. Uncle Huang wouldn't last much longer, and once he faltered, I'd rush in and use the thunder bamboo sword to skewer him. The dragon maiden nodded. As we stepped out of the secret chamber, a cold, eerie laughter echoed around us. Trying to leave? Not a chance. You two will stay in my chamber, and when I escape, I'll deal with you. As soon as he finished speaking, the chamber door slammed shut with a loud crack. The air around us grew heavy instantly. The dragon maiden and I both frowned. She walked over, pressed against the door firmly, but it didn't budge, it only sent a layer of dust flying. A diamond door, she muttered slowly. My face fell. This door was extremely sturdy, breaking through it would take time. Did this old man plan to outlast us? No matter, it might be difficult to break through, but at least it wouldn't take as long as Uncle Huang deciphering the formation outside. The dragon maiden started working on breaking the door. I offered to help, but she shook her head. I can handle it. Left with no choice, I nodded and began to rummage through a nearby cabinet out of boredom. Sure enough, in a hidden compartment within the cabinet, I found a carefully stored bottle. When I tipped it over, a single fiery red pill fell into my palm, its intense medicinal aroma filling the air. An unexpected find. I asked, Dragon Maiden, what kind of pill is this? It's a blood gold pill, refined from the inner cores of magical creatures. It's very rare, she replied, surprise evident in her tone. Can I take it? I inquired eagerly. You can. Wait. This pill, the Dragon Maiden hesitated mid-sentence. Without waiting for her to finish, I immediately swallowed the pill. I couldn't help but wonder how Uncle Huang would feel knowing I consumed it, especially since he was the one who trapped us here in the first place. What was that? I asked. After consumption, your body will feel unbearably hot, she said, sounding exasperated. And then? I probed, a touch of worry creeping in. The heat will cause restlessness. You'll need a woman nearby to help calm it, or it will harm your body, she explained. I panicked. What now? You're the only woman here. As soon as the pill went down my throat, it dissolved immediately, and a fiery discomfort surged through me. Beads of sweat formed on my forehead. It felt as though my blood were boiling. I regretted acting rashly. Why hadn't I listened to the Dragon Maiden? In my current state, I couldn't focus on absorbing the pill's energy at all. What should I do now? How could I drive out this fiery heat? Lost in thought, the Dragon Maiden walked up to me. As I looked at her, my heart skipped a beat. She looked unexpectedly kind. Sit down, she instructed. I did as she said. She reached out and gently wiped the sweat from my forehead. Her fingertips brushed against my skin, leaving an itchy, soothing sensation in their wake. I froze. What are you doing? Helping to dispel the inner heat. Otherwise, the pill's power will damage your organs, the Dragon Maiden replied firmly. I was stunned and nervously asked, Are you absolutely sure about this? After all, she was a maiden of 1,000 years. Was she seriously going to sacrifice her purity to save me? This wasn't like her at all. Or was it because she thought she might lose her head soon, so her thousands of years of self-restraint no longer mattered? The thought left me in disbelief, as if I were dreaming. Yes, absolutely sure, she confirmed. My body grew even more restless, the fiery sensation intensifying to the point of torment. I desperately needed relief. What should I do? I asked nervously. I had zero experience and only recalled my master once telling me to lie down. That time, I had failed to resolve my inner conflict, so nothing had happened. You don't need to do anything. Just sit still, she replied. You're really sure this is going to work? I couldn't help but ask, did she have experience with this? Yes. Her certainty put me at ease. I figured that with her years of existence, she must know what she was doing. Should I close my eyes? Do as you like. I'm used to closing my eyes. I reluctantly shut them, anxiety gnawing at me. Her fingers brushed my forehead again, descending slowly. When they reached my chest, the fiery sensation within me surged violently. I tensed, my heart pounding, as though anticipating what came next. Just when I thought I knew where things were heading, she suddenly pressed a single point on my chest. A sharp pang shot through me, and the fiery heat drained away almost instantly, like air escaping a balloon. I was dumbfounded. Opening my eyes, I saw her focused expression. She was casting some sort of spell, red energy seeping out of my body like steam from boiling water. Her skillful control was impressive, precise and measured. Any misstep could have spelled disaster. In less than the time it takes a stick of incense to burn, the fiery heat was completely expelled, leaving me feeling utterly refreshed. She withdrew her hand. All done. You can start absorbing the blood gold pill's energy now. I instinctively looked at her. Why are you staring? Hurry up and focus, she snapped. Clearing my throat, I muttered, I was just thinking. Thinking what? What if you hadn't been able to expel the heat? I asked. I'd use my other hand, she replied casually. And if that didn't work either? Then I'd use my foot, she said, unfazed. I was speechless. Stop overthinking and start absorbing the pill's energy, she ordered seriously. Snapping out of it, I quickly began channeling the pill's energy to break through my cultivation bottleneck. The first attempt failed, but I tried again. The blood gold pill turned out to be incredibly potent. Without the inner heat obstructing me, its power coursed through my body, invigorating me with strength. Each attempt to break through filled me with more vitality. I was hooked. Even if I didn't break through, the increase in my yang energy alone was worth it. After an unknown amount of time, a crisp yet muffled sound echoed within my body. A sense of warmth spread through my limbs. Had I succeeded in breaking through? I was now a level 6 mystic. I could clearly sense a shift in my yang energy, which now brimmed with righteous power. This righteousness was particularly effective against dark and evil forces. More importantly, I noticed a tiny, grain-sized light point within my dantian. Could this be the legendary inner core? Consuming a pill refined from the inner cores of other creatures had actually helped me form my own inner core. It was still small, likely because I was only a half-dragon. As I opened my eyes, a wave of excitement washed over me. The blood gold pill's effects were astounding, my strength had grown significantly. Being trapped by that old man turned out to be a blessing in disguise. This is section 27, 50 seconds of the content, processed according to your request, with the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout preserved. However, I'm not sure if I can face off against the Yellow River Dragon King just yet. I immediately got up from the ground, and the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden had been staring at me. I called her name, and only then did she snap out of it. I said I was starving and asked how long I'd been cultivating. I thought it had only been a day or two. 20 days, she responded calmly. I was stunned. You're joking, right? I'm not joking, she replied seriously. I panicked. No wonder my core had formed. It turns out I'd been cultivating for over half a month. I needed to leave immediately, or I'd miss the Yellow River Dragon King's celestial tribulation. You've been waiting for me for 20 days? I asked. It wasn't exactly just waiting. I even fell asleep yesterday, she said. I was speechless and could only reply, thank you for your effort. She noticed how anxious I was, her eyes shifting as she said, you've changed. I told her I now had an inner core. An inner core? She was surprised. You're not joking? It's true, I confirmed. No wonder you feel different. Condensing an inner core is incredibly difficult. Many never have the chance in their lifetime. You're really lucky this time, she acknowledged with a nod. Well, of course, it's thanks to being with you, I teased her. She froze for a moment, her eyes curling into crescent moons with a smile. Anyway, thank you for putting out the fire for me, I said earnestly. No need to thank me, she replied. Then, the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden walked to the secret chamber's door. While I'd been immersed in cultivation for 20 days, she hadn't been idle either. The chamber door was already covered in cracks. She had been waiting for me to wake up before breaking it open with a single palm strike. I asked if the array outside set by Uncle Huang had been broken. She said it had not. I breathed a sigh of relief. With the 5-element scorching flame array, he could be trapped for months. I figured he must be on the verge of breaking down by now. The Yangtze River Dragon Maiden raised her hand, and with one palm, the sturdy diamond door shattered instantly, opening the entrance. Air rushed in, and we quickly stepped out. Outside, the formation was in disarray. The land was deeply dug up, with craters here and there, and signs of earth scorched and melted, clear evidence that Uncle Huang had been desperately trying to break the array. But apart from one weak point, the formation remained intact. The 5-element scorching flame array was incredibly powerful once formed. It was nearly impossible for even strong spirits to break through. Uncle Huang sat on the ground, looking utterly defeated, having wasted away to skin and bones in 20 days. His eyes were vacant, his face showing years of suffering compressed into mere days. I discreetly slid my hand into my pocket, releasing a stream of green energy that shot down from my ankle and quickly vanished into the ground. Uncle Huang's body stiffened when he saw me and the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden, his face filled with shock. He hadn't expected us to break free before he could escape the array. He immediately ran to the edge of the array. "You two must have gotten what you came for, right? All good now, so let me out." I squinted at Uncle Huang. Though he was gravely weakened, attacking him rashly could provoke a desperate counterattack. Knowing how cunning he was, he wouldn't go down without a fight. For all I knew, he was just biding his time, waiting for me to get close so he could strike. "Xingfeng, I'm your uncle. Please, let me out." Uncle Huang began pleading with the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden. She remained silent. "Xingfeng, I held you as a child. This time, I made a mistake. You've gotten what you wanted, right? Let's forget about this." Uncle Huang continued to implore earnestly. "Kneel first," I said coldly. His face twisted with spite, ignoring me and focusing on the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden. "Xingfeng, I've been trapped for 20 days, this punishment is enough, isn't it? At the end of the day, I was just borrowing your things without returning them. Why torment me like this?" It was clear he believed his life was in her hands. The Yangtze River Dragon Maiden didn't look at him. Instead, she glanced at me. I understood her intentions and approached the array. Uncle Huang suddenly stared at me, his eyes widening. "There's something off about your aura. What did you take? What did you eat?" He began to panic, evidently noticing the change in my energy. "You mean that thing you stashed in the cabinet's secret compartment? I happened to eat it. It worked pretty well," I said. "I'll kill you." Uncle Huang roared, his face twisted like a ferocious beast. But just then, a bolt of green lightning struck him from behind. Uncle Huang reacted quickly, turning around, but it was futile. The lightning was too fast, hitting him squarely. Boom! The green lightning engulfed him, tearing apart the demonic energy clinging to his body. Judging by the power of the strike, the Thunderstrike bamboo had absorbed enough spiritual liquid to increase its cultivation by several hundred years, now exceeding 2 millennia. "Ah!" Uncle Huang screamed in agony, his energy plummeting rapidly. "You dare ambush me? I'll make you, ah!" He lashed out into empty air, freezing mid-motion as he looked down to see a gleaming blade piercing his chest, blood spilling out. His eyes were filled with resentment, unable to believe he'd die on his own doorstep. With a heavy thud, he collapsed, convulsing violently. "Your father will kill you." Before he could finish, his body twisted, revealing his true form, a massive weasel spirit. So he was an ancient weasel demon. I quickly disarmed the array and stepped inside, pulling out the Thunderstrike bamboo sword from his chest. The blade shimmered with electric light, bringing a sudden surge of joy to my heart. Holding the sword, I crouched down and cut him open, retrieving a smooth, luminous orb glowing with spiritual energy, his inner core. I turned to the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden and asked how long he had been cultivating. "Nearly 5,000 years, she replied, leaving me stunned. "But his talent for cultivation wasn't high, his strength wasn't particularly impressive," she added. I nodded, handing her the inner core. She blinked in surprise. "Why are you giving this to me? Can you refine a blood gold pill?" I asked. "I can." "Then make one for me." "Sure." She accepted the core as I exhaled deeply. A blood gold pill from an almost 5,000-year-old demon, its effects would surely be extraordinary. I began looking forward to it, even as my gaze fell to the red gold weasel meat. Unable to resist, I asked the Yangtze River Dragon Maiden if she could help roast it. I was absolutely famished, and with the looming trip to the Yellow River Dragon King's tribulation, I couldn't go on an empty stomach. The Yangtze River Dragon Maiden crouched down, quickly cleaning the weasel's body and setting up a fire to roast it. I hadn't expected to actually eat his meat, but then again, perhaps the flavor of such a high-level demon would be remarkable. Who knows, maybe it'd even enhance my cultivation. As the aroma of roasted meat wafted through the air, I couldn't help but swallow hard. The mere thought of sinking my teeth into it had my mouth watering. The Yangtze River Dragon Maiden handed me a piece of meat. I tore off a large leg while she shook her head, declining to eat. I didn't insist, taking a big bite instead. Juices burst in my mouth, the rich flavor filling every corner. It was divine. But she suddenly froze, muttering to herself, "A month from now, will I be eaten too?" Her words dulled the flavor of the meat instantly. I paused and said seriously, "That's impossible. Who would eat you? I would never let that happen." This is section 28, 50 seconds. Here's the processed content, maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. If she were to be executed, I'd closely monitor the situation, and perhaps even find a location blessed by feng shui to give her a proper burial. However, if that day were to come, I'm genuinely unsure how I'd react. The Dragon Maiden of the Yangtze River fell silent. I coughed and joked, "By the way, do you think your flesh tastes good?" She looked at me, stretching out her slender, pale hand. "You can try it now." Looking at her fair, delicate fingers, I chuckled. "I'd rather save you to extinguish my inner fire." "That sounds peculiar when you say it like that." The distracted look in her eyes vanished. "Peculiar?" I hurriedly finished the meat in my hand. A large drumstick devoured, my stomach felt full, my body warm. A robust energy surged within, as if my vitality had strengthened, my young energy replenished. Eating even a small piece of flesh from an ancient beast seemed to amplify my vitality. It appeared that consuming the flesh of a mystical creature with 1,000 years of cultivation could indeed benefit the body greatly. I was perfectly healthy, but if I were unwell, this feast would surely cure me. Just as I was about to devour the other leg, the Dragon Maiden of the Yangtze River stopped me. "Don't eat anymore, your neck is already red." Startled, I paused, realizing that apart from the inherent warmth coursing through my body, the meat was also causing a buildup of inner heat. This ancient creature's excessive energy was overloading me. Even consuming this seemed to evoke a rather unusual reaction. Reluctantly, I stopped. However, wasting the remaining meat felt like such a pity. If there were a wealthy individual nearby, or perhaps someone critically ill, I'd definitely sell it to them. After all, this was an extraordinary treasure, capable of replenishing vitality and even reviving the near-dead. "Need me to help with the excess heat?" asked the Dragon Maiden, waving her pale, delicate hand. I shook my head. I could control it. Instead, I asked her if she had anything I could use to store the meat. There was no way I'd throw away this valuable delicacy. She pulled out a small pouch, performed a spell to shrink the meat, and handed it to me. I carefully packed it away, saving it for a future emergency. Initially, I had planned to visit Guamei, but after spending an additional 20 days meditating in the secret chamber, far exceeding my original schedule, I decided to temporarily set aside the matter of the dragon's blood and proceed with confronting the Yellow River Dragon King. Once my preparations were complete, the Dragon Maiden of the Yangtze River and I rose to leave. I ventured back into the chamber, gathering over a dozen rare formation flags without hesitation, stuffing them into my bag. I couldn't be bothered with the other items. Then, I asked the Dragon Maiden to take me to where the Yellow River Dragon King was undergoing his tribulation. I assumed it would be in the Yellow River Dragon Palace, right? The Dragon Maiden shook her head. Such a significant celestial tribulation wouldn't take place in his palace. Usually, it would be an isolated natural location, one that can absorb lightning. My guess would be somewhere over there. She pointed in a certain direction. I nodded. Since she said so, she was likely correct. She conjured a ball of fire, intending to incinerate the weasel spirit's lair and destroy all evidence. This weasel spirit was likely an ancestor of all weasels. His descendants would undoubtedly seek vengeance if they discovered his demise. Such retaliations would persist for generations, creating endless trouble. The fire she created was incredibly fierce, instantly igniting anything it touched with unparalleled speed. As we scanned our surroundings, the ominous black aura that had trapped us earlier failed to reappear. Could it have escaped while we were trapped in the chamber? I asked. That's certainly a possibility. We had no choice but to move on. She stretched out her hand, and I lightly took it. The Dragon Maiden immediately took flight, and I followed, rising into the air. She flew incredibly fast, prompting my instincts to wrap my arm around her slender waist. She shot me a quick glance but said nothing. Though I hesitated briefly, her incredible speed made it impossible to stay steady without holding on. Reluctantly, I tightened my grip. Her waist was slender and soft. Suppressing any stray thoughts, I kept my focus on the road ahead as she accelerated toward the site of the Yellow River Dragon King's tribulation. After half a day of flying, we arrived at a vast, sprawling forest stretching across hundreds of miles. There wasn't a trace of human activity, only a dense expanse of towering trees. Yet the area was eerily silent, devoid of animal calls or birdsong. It seemed the local creatures knew to avoid the tribulation site to escape harm. The Dragon Maiden slowed her flight as we approached, gradually descending to avoid drawing the Yellow River Dragon King's attention. She skimmed effortlessly over the treetops. From the distant horizon, I suddenly noticed an abnormal sight, a thick, ink-black cloud so ominous it sent a chill down my spine. "What is that?" I asked. She glanced at it. "It's the place where Jiang Jiuxuan set up his formation, the mysterious cave entrance." My expression shifted. What a coincidence. The formation opening hasn't been fully repaired yet, so abnormal phenomena are still occurring, she explained. They're likely still looking for Jiang Jiuxuan's reincarnation. I remained silent, staring at the ominous black cloud. A vague sense of unease crept over me. Was something about to go wrong? If an accident occurred, it would be disastrous, with the mysterious cave so close to the tribulation site. The tribulation site is just ahead. The Yellow River Dragon King likely hasn't arrived yet, she said. Returning my gaze forward, I saw an enormous basin. The basin was surrounded by ancient, towering trees, but at its center lay a vast expanse of charred, barren ground. It was completely devoid of life, the soil appearing like molten rock that had cooled and hardened. It was clear the site had frequently experienced tribulations, having been struck by countless bolts of lightning that left the land scorched and barren. Trees and plants had no chance against the overwhelming power of thunder and lightning. They'd be incinerated instantly. At the center of the basin sat a massive, blackened stone covered in electric scars, capable of absorbing some of the lightning's energy. As I studied these scorch marks, a complicated look flickered in my eyes. The Dragon Maiden guided me into the forest. Once we landed, I released her hand, her lingering soft fragrance still on my skin. We concealed ourselves behind a towering tree, suppressing all traces of our presence. I turned to her and asked, "Was this where you endured your own tribulation?" "Yes," she said, her tone carrying a faint melancholy. It was clear her tribulation had nearly cost her everything. Her wealth of experience showed as she observed the clearing sky. While currently clear, there was an ominous heaviness in the air, an unmistakable sign of the impending tribulation. I sighed in relief, assured that the Yellow River Dragon King would indeed undergo his tribulation here. "There are still 3 to 4 hours before it starts," the Dragon Maiden remarked. This was good. It gave us time to rest and prepare. However, just as I was starting to move, an annoyed voice interrupted. "What took you so long to get here?" I turned toward the voice, spotting a swift-moving figure heading in our direction. Emerging from the shadows was a stunningly beautiful woman with a fiery silhouette, the thousand-year fox spirit. I was stunned. She had come too? Did she truly intend to watch the Yellow River Dragon King perish? Judging by her expression, it seemed she'd been in the area for several days. I explained, "I ran into some trouble on the way." "What trouble?" "It must be her fault you're late," the fox spirit huffed coldly. "No, it wasn't. Don't bother explaining. You're her lackey now, doing whatever she asks." "Of course, she wouldn't let you leave easily." "She won't set you free." The fox spirit sneered. "No, really, it's not that. She just..." "Enough. I know exactly what kind of person she is." This is section 29 50 seconds. Here's the revised content while maintaining the original paragraph structure, line breaks, and overall layout. The millennial fox spirit sneered coldly, her gaze mocking as she stared at the Yangtze Dragon Maiden. "You've got the time to stroll around here? A major incident has erupted at the other end of the Yangtze. The whole mortal realm is talking about it. What kind of dragon king are you? I heard a lot of people died. You're bound to face heavenly punishment this time. Your punishment is going to hurt, and bad." The Yangtze Dragon Maiden remained silent. I didn't speak either. The fox spirit clearly believed the punishment would be severe for her, but I doubted it would be as heavy as feared. Still, the incident had indeed caused an uproar in the mortal realm. Many were eagerly waiting to see her disgrace. "Oh, silent treatment now? What's wrong?" The fox spirit laughed smugly. Ever since the Yangtze Dragon Maiden subdued her previously, the fox spirit had harbored a grudge. Now, she was basking in schadenfreude. "Not happy about the punishment being too harsh? Come on, spill. What is it, whipping or a deduction in karmic virtue? Am I right? Your expression is awful," the fox spirit teased with provocations. I sighed privately. Want me to take over as Dragon King while you play subordinate, she added, her scorn unabated. Senior, the punishment this time is severe. I interjected. How severe? A little less virtue? That can be replenished, she shrugged, unconcerned. No, it's decapitation. I sighed. The Yangtze Dragon Maiden still didn't respond. The fox spirit froze briefly, before letting out a laugh. Decapitation? Seriously? Her neck is too tough, what blade could even manage that? It's true, I said, dead serious. Noticing my grave expression, her smirk faltered, her demeanor shifting to anxiety. You're not joking, are you? A few deaths could be considered their destined tribulation. How does that warrant decapitation? That's too extreme. I shook my head firmly, this was no joke. For a long moment, the fox spirit was completely stunned. When she finally broke her silence, she glanced at the Yangtze Dragon Maiden, her voice quiet. Is it really that serious? And you're not saying anything, what's your plan? Heaven wants your head, and you'll just offer it up? The Yangtze Dragon Maiden stayed mute. The fox spirit sighed softly. Good grief, how did it come to this? Though she feigned mockery, I could sense genuine concern beneath her words. Then she turned to me. And you? Are you all right? Keeping my voice low, I said, I'm also going to be executed. The Jade Emperor has already decreed it. The fox spirit was visibly shaken. You're going to be executed too? I nodded. PSHHH. She drew in a sharp breath, her face full of worry. You're so young, how are you supposed to face this? For the first time, I saw her so flustered. What else can I do? Face it as it comes. I tried to sound calm. Whatever comes my way, I'll deal with it. She shook her head. I doubt you'll make it through this. You won't be able to keep your soul intact this time. Such a shame, dying so young. Like the Thunder Mother, she thought resistance was futile. The strength of celestial beings was in a realm far beyond mortal opposition. If you'd stuck with me, none of this would have happened, she lamented helplessly. I stayed quiet. This calamity was unavoidable. No matter who I allied with, fate would have brought me here. Dragon 18, how long until heaven sends someone down? She asked. A little over a month, I replied. The fox spirit looked at me with pity. You're really pitiful. Do you have any unfulfilled wishes? Things you never dared do? Tell me, I'll help you finish them. She was certain I wouldn't survive, and she wanted to ensure I had no regrets. I appreciated her offer, remembering how she had once stepped in to save me. But deep down, I wasn't going to accept my fate. I politely declined her offer. I mean it, she insisted. A person should never leave regrets. We've crossed paths, so I'm willing to help you tie up loose ends. Her sincerity felt genuine. I nodded faintly. If your master finds out you're dying, he'll lose it. She sighed. I chose not to involve Jiang Jiuxuan, remaining silent. Knowing my fate, she seemed to soften unexpectedly. She frequently asked if I was hungry or thirsty, treating me like a child. It left me at a loss for words. Honestly, if I'd asked her to haul water from Mount Tian, she'd likely agree without hesitation. Even her demeanor toward the Yangtze Dragon Maiden had changed. She coaxed her gently, asking about her plans for reincarnation and cultivation after death. The Yangtze Dragon Maiden didn't respond, but the icy look in her eyes seemed to thaw. I suggested she should consider staying away for now. After all, her rapport with the Yellow River Dragon King wasn't awful. She countered, I'm not avoiding anything. Frankly, right now, I get along better with you than with him. Her words caught me off guard. The fox spirit quirked an eyebrow. What's the story? How did your relationship improve so much in the past 20-odd days? The Yangtze Dragon Maiden said nothing, and I claimed there was nothing to tell. Judging by her expression, the fox spirit wasn't buying it. The hours ticked by. I started observing my surroundings. I'd planned to set up a formation, but the wide area of the lightning zone rendered the effort futile. My last hope was to strike at the critical moment when the Yellow River Dragon King faced his heavenly trial. I prayed I'd succeed. The once clear sky darkened abruptly. The sun vanished behind dense clouds, plunging everything into a stormy gloom. Looking up, I stood dazed. The time was almost up, but an inexplicable anxiety gnawed at me. It felt as if something monumental was about to unfold. Unable to resist, my eyes shifted toward the mysterious cavern. Could something have gone wrong there? A sinking unease gripped me. I prayed nothing catastrophic had occurred. If I failed to personally slay the Yellow River Dragon King today, and ended up executed by celestial hands a month from now, I wouldn't rest in peace. As I wrestled with unease, a voice echoed from the sky above. He's almost here. Why haven't you found a place to hide? Looking up, I saw a bolt of lightning flash through a dark cloud, revealing a distinct figure, Thunder Mother. Her sudden appearance snapped me back to reality, and I replied promptly, right away. Thunder Mother asked, "Did your child form its inner elixir?" I nodded. "No wonder your lightning tribulation schedule moved up. As for your death trial next month, I don't know if you can make it through." Her tone was neutral. I had no words. She continued, "A celestial being has already received the Jade Emperor's decree. Action will be taken soon." I stayed silent, resolved. My plan was to face whomever descended. "Start preparing," she advised. "Understood." Quietly, I asked, "Thunder Mother, did something happen near that cavern?" "Of course. But I don't meddle in mortal affairs, everything has its destined course. Where there's trouble, someone will handle it," she said plainly. I sighed in resignation. Celestial figures rarely intervened in human matters. I hurried to the Yangtze Dragon Maiden's side. The three of us quickly masked our auras. Thunder Mother added casually, "Oh, by the way, Dragon Maiden, your father knows you're marked for execution." The Yangtze Dragon Maiden froze briefly. "So? He's never cared about me anyway." Thunder Mother offered no further comment. "This is the content of paragraph 30 out of 52. Following your direction and maintaining the original structure, formatting, and layout, here's the processed content translated into English. However," she warned, "when he arrives, I'll follow our agreement and amplify the power of the celestial tribulation lightning. Whether you succeed depends on your luck. If he calls on his friends up there to help at the critical moment, then that's just your bad fortune." I nodded. As long as the Thunder Goddess would do her best, that was good enough. The Yellow River Dragon King's tribulation lightning consists of 12 strikes. Watch for the right moment to act. I was shocked. 12 strikes? "Fox Demon, are you certain you want to step in as well?" the Thunder Goddess asked. The 1,000-year-old Fox Demon nodded. "Your own tribulation is just days away. If you're injured today, can you hold on?" the Thunder Goddess reminded her. Without hesitation, the Fox Demon replied, "I can." "All right, then hide yourselves well." After her words, the Thunder Goddess paused for a second before uttering, "If the Jade Emperor finds out about today, it'll be me who's in trouble." Let's hope he doesn't. I don't want the Thunder Goddess to get into trouble either. The three of us quickly hid behind a large tree, suppressing our auras. Our eyes stayed locked on one direction. The sky grew increasingly ominous, the sun was completely obscured, and heavy clouds loomed, thick and dark as splashed ink. This tribulation was grander and more daunting than the one faced by the 1,000-year-old Fox Demon's daughter. About 10 minutes later, the Thunder Goddess's voice rang out, "He's here." Immediately, the three of us became fully alert. The Yangtze Dragon Maiden suddenly pulled out a silk scarf, yanked it hard, and threw it toward us. Instantly, I felt a faint spiritual light envelop us, making us appear invisible. I figured that, to an outsider, we were now hidden from view. It seemed like the Yangtze Dragon Maiden wanted to ensure the Yellow River Dragon King didn't discover us, so she used a spell to conceal my and the Fox Demon's presence. Staring into the distance, an overwhelming and imposing aura surged closer. Squinting, I spotted a tall figure hurtling toward us. That person exuded an icy and domineering energy, his face alight with the excitement of ascending to immortality. His body was surrounded by draconic energy, his momentum overwhelming. He was none other than the Yellow River Dragon King. The moment he appeared, a sense of heaviness weighed on my chest. I hadn't expected his aura to be fully restored. Judging by his state, he must have absorbed celestial chi and fully recovered, thoroughly preparing for this tribulation. But that doesn't matter. 12 strikes of enhanced tribulation lightning, I'll see how you withstand it. I fixed my cold gaze on him, ready to strike the moment his spiritual energy was drained by the lightning, and finish him off with a single sword. The Yellow River Dragon King landed steadily on a giant rock in the wilderness. His strength was so immense that half the rock sank into the ground. The 1,000-year-old Fox Demon's eyes glinted coldly, while the Yangtze Dragon Maiden's face remained expressionless. The Yellow River Dragon King didn't sense us. Spotting the Thunder Goddess within the cloud cluster, he immediately cupped his fists and said, "Thunder Goddess, I entrust you to oversee my tribulation today." A cold voice echoed from the clouds. "Tribulation Challenger, state your name first, otherwise, mistakes in the tribulation could occur." The Yellow River Dragon King hesitated for a moment. "Thunder Goddess, we've known each other for years. You've always personally presided over my lightning tribulations. Is this really necessary? Don't waste words. I told you to report your name," the Thunder Goddess replied icily. Inside, I felt a surge of joy. The Thunder Goddess was clearly on our side. The Yellow River Dragon King frowned but eventually reported, "Long Tsangxiong." "Age?" the Thunder Goddess asked. 4,318 years. When did you first embark upon the path of Tao? At 103 years. How many acts of celestial virtue have you performed? 10. The Thunder Goddess opened a thick registry. Only 10 acts of celestial virtue? You've committed over 100 acts of karmic harm. The Yellow River Dragon King remained silent, his gaze fixed on the Thunder Goddess. We've dealt with people like you before. Prepare yourself, the Thunder Goddess said coldly. At this moment, the dark clouds in the sky began to churn, thunder roared, and several thick bolts of lightning crackled vividly, their imposing intensity palpable. Looking at the lightning, I couldn't help but feel slightly apprehensive. If it were me undergoing this tribulation, I'm not sure if I'd make it through. Although the Thunder Goddess would help, one's own physical resilience was crucial. Tribulation lightning wasn't just destructive, it was also a form of refining the body. The Yellow River Dragon King spoke up, Thunder Goddess. My title is Thunder Goddess. Didn't you hear me tell you to prepare? She snapped furiously. Crack! Several massive lightning bolts crashed down like the arms of a giant octopus, briefly illuminating the dark surroundings. The Thunder Goddess, poised within the cloud layer, looked even more striking. The Yellow River Dragon King addressed her. Someone from above requested that I let you know this tribulation is of immense importance to my ascension. They ask that you ease the strikes during the critical final 3 bolts. If you comply, there will be generous rewards afterward. I also promise to personally reward you heavily. Hearing this, my heart sank immediately. The tribulation hadn't even started, and the Yellow River Dragon King was already bringing up his connections from the heavens? If the Thunder Goddess were forced to agree, we'd be doomed. Humph. Are you asking me, a celestial overseer, to cheat deliberately? The Thunder Goddess replied icily. Thunder Goddess, there's no need to be so rigid. You see that person daily. Wouldn't it be disrespectful not to give them some face? The Yellow River Dragon King retorted stoically. Sure, saving face is easy, but when I'm executed for this, will you be the one taking the blame? Her tone grew colder. Nothing from today will reach the Jade Emperor, you can rest assured, the Yellow River Dragon King replied confidently. What I'm asking is not about being found out, can you bear the consequences if something happens? The Thunder Goddess pressed on. The Yellow River Dragon King furrowed his brows. Since you insist, let me present this. With that, he produced a mysterious box and threw it skyward. The box shot up quickly. I don't care to see it. Take it back. If you don't start preparing, I'll strike the first bolt immediately. The Thunder Goddess rejected him without hesitation. But the Yellow River Dragon King sent the box into the cloud cluster and opened it. Did you not understand me? I said I don't want to. Oh, her previously cold tone was suddenly filled with surprise. This startled me immensely. What exactly had the Yellow River Dragon King shown her? The Fox Demon grew tense as well, and the Yangtze Dragon Maiden narrowed her eyes. All 3 of us stared intently at the Thunder Goddess in the sky. This was when the Yellow River Dragon King spoke again. Thunder Goddess, you know very well what this represents. My only request is that you ease up on the strength of the last 3 lightning bolts. Surely, such a small favor wouldn't be difficult for you? I kept my gaze fixed on the Thunder Goddess. Had the box contained something she desperately needed? If so, this could be disastrous. After all, if the Thunder Goddess agreed, all our efforts to save her son would have been in vain. However, the Yangtze Dragon Maiden remained calm, almost as if she had absolute faith in her. Sure enough, the Thunder Goddess's cold voice soon rang out again, accompanied by a brisk noise as she threw the box back. Take your thing and leave, she said icily. The Yellow River Dragon King caught the box, his expression one of astonishment. Thunder Goddess, the contents of this box. I'm giving you 10 seconds to prepare. 1, 2, 3, the Thunder Goddess interrupted firmly, cutting off his words without hesitation. At this, I finally exhaled in relief. It seemed the Thunder Goddess was someone of her word. Since she'd already promised me, it was clear she wouldn't betray her agreement for the Yellow River Dragon King. Let me know if further adjustments are needed. The voice of the Thunder Mother echoed again. The Yellow River Dragon King's expression darkened. My friend can come anytime. How about letting him say it himself? My heart sank. The last time that friend appeared, if no celestial being had intervened, I would have already chopped off the Yellow River Dragon King's head. If he comes again, how am I supposed to face him? I squinted at the sky, wondering he wouldn't reveal himself so easily, would he? After all, if the Jade Emperor discovered he helped someone in secret, the punishment wouldn't be light. Surely he wouldn't take such a risk. Besides, last time, only a trace of his consciousness came, and he was heavily wounded by Jiang Jiuxuan. 5, 6, 7. The Thunder Mother mercilessly pressed on. The Yellow River Dragon King glared coldly at her. You know I will soon rank among the celestial beings. Thunder Mother, since you've chosen to offend a new god, fine. We'll meet again, sooner or later. When that day comes, don't blame me for being ruthless. With that, he retrieved the box in his hand, and his aura suddenly intensified. A faint spiritual glow enveloped him. Expressionless, he raised his head, staring at the Thunder Mother. He had already begun bracing for the celestial lightning. The corners of his mouth curled slightly, brimming with confidence, as if he was certain whether the Thunder Mother showed leniency or not, he was destined to transcend and ascend to immortality successfully. I thought to myself, all right then, let's see how I shatter that confidence of yours. Thunder rumbled in the skies, and lightning churned wildly within the black clouds. Suddenly, a bolt as thick as an arm crackled to life, tearing through the heavens as though a rift had been ripped in the void. This first strike carried a terrifying power. I kept my eyes focused. Beside me, the 1,000-year-old fox demon wore a conflicted expression, partly hoping for the Yellow River Dragon King's demise, yet nervously fixated on the lightning about to descend. After all, her own tribulation wasn't far off. The Yangtze River Dragon Maiden looked a bit dazed as she watched the events unfold. I could guess her thoughts. Deep down, she must have felt regret. If the Yellow River Dragon King could ascend to godhood, she should have as well. Not being able to transcend was her greatest sorrow. Without hesitation, the lightning struck, aiming straight for the stone on which the Yellow River Dragon King stood. Facing the first celestial lightning, the Yellow River Dragon King remained composed, letting the bolt strike him head-on. Boom! The instant the lightning made contact, it exploded into countless fine currents, wrapping entirely around him. He appeared almost like a glowing figure, the light from the lightning tangling and flaring around him so intensely it was blinding. As the crackling subsided, and the lightning dissipated, faint black smoke was rising.